All eyes were on the runway, but no one was truly prepared for the moment when two figures emerged, striding slowly as if they had emerged from another dimension. That was when Zhang Linghe and Tian Xiwei exploded in a moment that would never be forgotten. Their first step wasn't just a walk, it was a statement. Dressed in avant-garde Gucci designs, the two looked like characters from the future lost in the real world. The spotlights cast dramatic shadows around their every movement, making every second feel like a scene from a big-budget sci-fi film. The audience fell silent. Cameras paused for a moment. Even fashion professionals, usually hard to impress, seemed at a loss for words. It wasn't just the clothes they wore, but the aura they exuded, a blend of classic elegance and bold, futuristic energy. No one could have imagined that these two actors, best known for their screen presence, would transform the runway into an emotional theater. Zhang Linghe performed with a mysterious poise, his steps precise, as if he had been training for this moment his entire life. Tian Xiwei, on the other hand, exuded powerful charisma, his gaze piercing, captivating every pair of eyes that dared meet his. This wasn't just a performance, it was a transformation. The world witnessed how the boundaries between actors and models collapsed overnight. They were no longer just faces from a popular drama, but symbols of a profound shift in the global fashion industry. Gucci, long known for its bold experimentation, seemed to have gone further than anyone had ever imagined. Partnering this pair wasn't just a creative decision, it was a strategy that shook the foundations of public perception about who could dominate the runway. Whispers began to rise among the audience. Was this the beginning of a new era? One where celebrities were not just the faces of campaigns, but the center of fashion's narrative itself? Or was this simply a rare moment that could never be replicated? As the music intensified, their steps became more synchronized. There was a chemistry that couldn't be faked, a connection that made their performance feel alive. This wasn't just walking together, it was a wordless dialogue translated through movement. The photographers began to panic. They realized that every second that passed was a lost moment. Camera flashes rained down on the runway again, trying to capture something fundamentally inexplicable, a magnetism that can only be felt, not captured. Behind the scenes, Gucci's designers and creative team watched with bated breath. What they had created had surpassed expectations. This was no longer just the latest season's collection. It was a cultural event. Social media exploded in minutes. Short clips, blurry photos, and even spontaneous reactions from viewers flooded the internet. Zhang Linghe and Tian Xiwei's names suddenly became global trends, transcending borders and languages. Fans not only praised their looks, but also debated. Was this a stroke of genius from Gucci, or a bold gamble that happened to pay off? But one thing was certain. No one was staying neutral. The runway, traditionally an exclusive space for professional models, now felt more inclusive, more dynamic, and far more unpredictable. The fashion world, often considered rigid, suddenly felt alive again. Their appearance also raised a major question. Will the future of fashion be dominated by cross-industry collaborations? As actors, musicians, and digital creators begin to take over the runway, the very definition of model may change forever. As they reached the end of the runway, there was a brief pause, a moment of silence that felt like the world pausing for breath. Then, with a simple gesture, they turned, and in that one turn, they closed an old chapter and opened a new possibility. Applause erupted, but it felt too late. Because what had happened wasn't just something worthy of applause. It was something bigger than mere appreciation. It was an acknowledgement that something had changed. Even after they left the stage, their aura lingered, like a recurrent echo, leaving a lasting impression on everyone in attendance. Fashion critics began writing in different tones. Words like iconic, revolutionary, and unpredictable appeared repeatedly. Yet, none of them truly captured the essence of what had happened that night. Outside the building, the crowd was still discussing, trying to comprehend what they had just witnessed. Some called it a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Others were convinced this was just the beginning of something much bigger. And amidst it all, one question lingers. Has the world just witnessed the birth of a new era in fashion entertainment? Or is this a rare flash, a perfect moment that happens once, then fades, leaving the world in awe-filled silence? But if that night truly marks a turning point, its impact will not stop in Shanghai. The global fashion industry will be forced to evolve faster than ever imagined. What Gucci has done is not simply create a sensation, but open the door to a new, bolder, more cinematic approach. Other fashion houses are now in a difficult position. To follow is to risk being seen as copycats, but to ignore is to be left behind. In a world moving as fast as digital trends, a single viral moment can change the direction of industry strategy for years to come. On the other hand, the presence of Zhang Linghe and Tian Xiwei also demonstrates how the power of fandom can be a crucial element in a successful fashion show. Their fan support is more than just numbers. It's the energy that amplifies the impact of every runway walk. Interestingly, many are beginning to realize that it's not just about who walks the runway, but how the story is built around it. Their performances felt like part of a larger narrative, as if Gucci were telling a coming-of-age story through the human body. Cultural critics even began to associate this moment with the changing tastes of the younger generation. They no longer seek merely visual beauty, but also immersive, emotional experiences that can be instantly shared digitally. Behind the glitz and glamour of the spotlight, there was unseen hard work. The two actors had to cultivate rehearsals, coordination, and even character understanding to deliver such precise and meaningful performances. This wasn't luck. It was the result of meticulous preparation. Some senior fashion observers were initially skeptical, questioning whether actors could truly replace professional models. But after that night, many of them were forced to change their perspective. What they saw wasn't a replacement, but an evolution. A domino effect began to take hold. Other brands began considering similar collaborations. Modeling agencies began redefining talent, and even fashion schools began discussing new approaches to their curricula. And in the end, one thing became increasingly clear. The night wasn't just about two big names or one legendary brand. It was about a shift in direction, about how the worlds of fashion, entertainment, and popular culture were now moving toward an inevitable intersection. Amidst this shift, the public began to realize that the runway was no longer simply a place to showcase clothes, but a stage for creating emotionally moving experiences. What Zhang Linghe and Tian Xiwei presented felt like a bridge between reality and imagination, something difficult to explain yet easy to feel. Even after the cameras dimmed and the audience emptied, discussions about that moment continued. Analysis emerged from various perspectives: fashion, entertainment, and even visual psychology, all trying to unravel why the look had such a lasting impact in such a short time. Gucci itself was now at the center of global attention, not just for its designs, but for its courage to challenge conventional boundaries. They weren't simply following trends, but for creating a new direction that compelled the world to take notice, even if it meant shaking up the industry's comfort zone. And perhaps, therein lay the true power of that night. Not just in the glamour or the fame, but in the courage to do something unprecedented, a moment that, whether it will be repeated or not, left a mark too powerful to ignore.